This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, welcome everyone to the first Haftorah Shiur of Tavshin Pei. The Haftorah of Parshas Vayelech, Shabbos Shuva, is of course Shuva Yisrael. Shuva Yisrael comes from the Navi Hosea, followed by a passage from the Navi Yoel, followed by a passage from the Navi Micha. Three different Nevi'im from the Treyasar. And obviously the Kesher between this Haftorah to this time of the year is that it starts Shuva Yisrael Ad Hashem Lekecha. It says in Ar Chaim Siman Tav Chav Ches that the Shabbos between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur were mafter Shabbos Shuva. So I want to make note of one very compelling diuk here. First we say Shuva Yisrael Ad Hashem Elokecha Ki Chashalta Ba'avoinecha. Return Israel Ad until, not to, until. We know Ad could sometimes mean Ad V'lo Ad B'chlal. And then in the next pasuk, Kechu imachem divarim v'shuvu el Adoi Shem rimruelav kol tisavayin mekach tov u'neshalem afarim sifaseinu. Take with you words and return to Hashem. Why in pasuk Aleph is it Ad, and in pasuk Beis it's Ad, and pasuk Gimel it's El. So in the Sefer Bad Kodesh of Rav Baruch Dov Povarsky, the Rosh Hashiva of Panovich, he asks, why do we have two psukim about Shuva? First we have Shuva Yisrael, and then Vishuvu. And why the first time we may add is it Ad, and the second time it's El? Now,
one is over and one is Asid, no?
So, the pasuk says like this: V'nei ala pasuk kachu yimachem devarim kasav b'targum yonasan kerivu imchayin piskamin de'isvada. Bring with you words of confession. V'ulashin vidoy. And likewise, the Ibn Ezra, the Radak, the Metzudas David, says it's an inyan of vidoy. But according to this, let us bring a makar to what the Rishonim say. Look in the Rambam and the Chinuch. You know, there's a question. Could I do vidoy in my mind, or do I have to articulate it? So the Rambam and the Chinuch says vidoy is bepeh. Likewise, it says kechu imachem devarim. And the Medrash Rabbah and Shemais you find kechu imachem devarim v'shuvu el Hashem. But ein devarim ela divrei Torah. Yeah, kechu imachem devarim refers to Torah, like the pasuk says Eila hadvar masher diber Moshe. So that means the Medrash says that the word Devarim is going on Divrei Torah. But what does Torah have to do with Teshuvah? So, says Rav Baruch Dov Povarsky, very simple. We could ask another question that we raised earlier. The Bereisha, the Kraksiv, Shuva Yisrael Ad Hashem Lekecha, V'Seifa Kasav V'Shuvu El Hashem. V'yeshavar inyan shinei Hashem b'zeh. V'nira, the B'shnei Madrego Shel Tshuva Mari. There are two types of Tshuva. Shuva Yisrael Ad, that's only a small level. Darga Katana, that's Tshuva Miyura Ad Hashem Lekecha, up until. By the way, the Gemara in Yuma says explicitly that Shuva Yisrael Ad Hashem Lekecha is Tshuva Miyura. Where does the Gemara say it? Because the Gemara asks the stira. In one pasuk it says that Averos are turned into mitzvahs, and in another pasuk it says Mezid is turned into shoygeg. What pasuk says Mezid is turned into shoygeg? The Gemara cites this pasuk: Shuva Yisrael Ad Hashem Lekecha Ki Chashalta Ba'avoinecha. It says you stumbled, which is shoygeg, Ba'avoinecha, which is Mezid. Amar Rish Lakish Gedoy LaTshuva Shes Doines Nasas Lakish Gago Shenemar Shuva Yisrael Ad Hashem Lekecha Ki Chashalta Ba'avoinecha. The Gemara asks Ha'avoin Mezidhood. Who v'kakari lei michshal. Says the Gemara asks, but Rish Lakish says nasa le'zchuyas, and the Gemara says this pasuk is talking about miyura. Hare the pasuk zamari b'tshuva miyura. Now, how do I know that when you do tshuva meira, the tshuva is only ad? The pasuk says in Parshas V'aschanan, Batsar lecha. What does batsar lecha mean? When you're in distress, umitzaucha, and you find kol hadvarim ha'ela bi'acharis hayamim b'shavta ad Hashem Elokecha. So we see that when you do tshuva mitzara, it's only ad. But then there's a higher level, shuvu el Hashem. El Hashem is all the way to Hashem. Devekus gemura. That's tshuva me'ara, ava. Now how do you get to tshuva me'ahava? How do you come to love Hashem? The Rambam says it says Haftorah es Hashem leikecha b'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha b'chol me'odecha. How? V'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha. So basically, this is similar to what we said earlier from the Chidah. The Chidah said that if you learn Torah, you don't need all the other ingredients. We also learned if you do Tshuva Me'ava, you don't need the other ingredients. But it really goes hand in hand, because how do you come to Avas Hashem? By learning the Torah. So, if your Tshuva is Ad Hashem Elokecha, that's because it's Tshuva Me'ira. Then your Tshuva only goes Ad. But Kechui Machem Devarim, which we said, the Medrash says referring to Torah. When you learn Torah, then your Tshuva is given extra fuel. Then it's V'shuvu El Hashem. When your Tshuva comes from Torah, then it's Tshuva Me'ava, then your Tshuva is on a much higher level. Ulam Shuva El Hashem Hu Darga Yosef Gedoyla. It's El V'alzehu Nemar D'lo Yitachin Shuva Me'ava El Aydei Devrei Torah. And that is Mavor in the Rambam in the Sefer HaMitzvos. That the Rambam says in the mitzvah V'Haftorah es Hashem lekecha, that the way we fulfill it is dafka V'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha. And that is by learning Torah. Through that comes Ava. And this is a Mavur in the Sifri, that Avas Hashem comes from Limud Torah. And therefore the Psukim read very beautifully. If you do Tshuva Me'ira, it's Shuva Yisrael Ad Hashem Lekecha. And then we say the Zedainos become like Shkagos Ki Chashalta B'Aveinecha. But Kechui Machem Devarim, if your Tshuva is fueled by Torah, V'shuvu El Hashem. Okay, Rabbi Isai wishing everyone a great Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.